on, y'all? Look, I hope y'all doing great today. I hope that you are, doing well in your life. But if you're not, I want to go ahead and I want to encourage somebody today. Somebody who's living a life that they don't want to live. Somebody who's in a situation that they never asked for. I want to encourage somebody who feels broken in different areas of your life, whether it's emotionally, mentally, financially, or even spiritually. And maybe right now you feel overwhelmed by all the things that are outside of your control. But I want to give you something today that changed my life. Something simple but powerful. And here it is. Control the controllables. Focus on what you can control. Because when life is heavy, when everything feels like it's falling apart, the most powerful thing that you can do is to stop obsessing over what's not in your hands and start showing up for what is. And that's how you move forward. So let me tell you what that looked like in my own life. You see, I remember growing up and feeling like life was just unfair because my family and we didn't have much. I couldn't control the way that my mom's and dad relationship was. I couldn't control our living circumstances and our living conditions. I couldn't control the fact that my dad and my family and us, that we got food out the trash some days to eat. I couldn't control that the way that my dad made money to provide for my family was by recycling, and that I had to help my father to go into dumpsters, to go into trash cans, to get plastic bottles and glass bottles out. I couldn't control those things. Like in that moment where I was in my life, I didn't have control on telling my father, that's not what I want to do. Like, this isn't the way that I want to live. Like, I remember when I was growing up in my home, like, I couldn't control living with rats and living with roaches and living a life that was really not good. I couldn't control my living conditions. And that was just the reality of what we were going through and what I was going through. But I realized something early on, that even though I couldn't change what was happening around me, that there were still things that I could control. You see, I could go to school and I could do my best. I could focus in the classroom when the teacher was teaching. That was something that I could control. Like, I controlled working hard in football and training and going to practice and spending early mornings and late nights just getting better at playing football. Those was the things that I could control. You see, I could control how I responded to my environment, even when it wasn't ideal for me. And those small decisions that I made, they became the foundation for me to build a different life as I got older. You see, when I got older, the decisions that I made, it allowed for me to turn things around. And years later, I was hit with something even harder. Like what my story of me just growing up in brief, like that was just a little bit. But another story that I have in my life where I was able to see how I controlled the controllables was, I remember when my wife and I, when we were just 19 and 20 years old, we were having our first child, and our son he was diagnosed with a rare condition called osteogenesis imperfecta. And what that diagnosis is, it's a brittle bone disease to where my child's bones is not growing the normal way. But other than that, it's like their glass, like their bones is made up of glass, and that's what that condition is all about. And I'll never forget how scared I was. I never forget the fear that I had, the weight of the unknown. I never forget when the doctors didn't know if he was going to live or what life would look like for him. Like, that was a very scary moment for me, and it felt like it was a lot of things that was not in my control. It was a lot of things that in that moment, like, it was so many things that I was not able to control. Like, things like if my son was going to live, things like what things in that moment to where he was on the breathing machine, he had oxygen, to over his mouth, and on top of that, he had a feeding tube. It was things in that moment that I couldn't control if he got better. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I couldn't control the doctors finding solutions for my son to make it out the hospital. You see, I was in a situation that I could not control. Like, I couldn't even change the diagnosis that he had. I couldn't heal my son. I couldn't guarantee how long he was going to live or what that life was going to look like. But what I could control was how I showed up as a father. What I could control is how I supported my wife. What I could control was how I responded to the pressure. And at that time, my wife couldn't work because we were hit with the unexpected medical bills. Like, we were hit with the debt, and the life that we were trying to build, it got flipped upside down. But I made a decision. I said, what can I do in this situation? And so what I did was I picked up a second job. I started working over 100 hours a week just to provide for my family as we were in that moment. And I got better on my job because one of the things that I did, I pushed for promotions. I learned, I grew, and I did everything in my power to move my family forward. And that's what it means to control the controllables. You see, I couldn't change what was happening, but I could control how I responded to the situation. And that changed everything. So I want to give you a simple framework that can help you to get unstuck and start moving forward. You see, even if your life feels out of control right now, I want to help you. And here are three things to remember when it comes to controlling the controllables. Number one, you have to ask yourself, what can I control? Because even if it feels like everything is spinning out of control, there's always something that you can control. And let me give you a few examples because you may be struggling financially. You may be behind on your bills. You might be stretched too thin and you may feel like you don't have enough money to get through the month. And while you may not be able to change your income overnight, can you control your spending habits? You have to ask yourself that question. Can you create a budget? Can you pick up a side hustle or even apply for something better? Like that is exactly where it starts. Or maybe you're in a relationship that's draining you. Maybe it's toxic. Maybe you feel unseen and unloved. But you have to ask yourself, can you control how that person treats you? No. You can't control how someone else treats you, but can you, and then you have to ask yourself, like, can you control your boundaries, right? You can. That is something that you can do. You see, you can decide what kind of love you accept and what you don't. Because I want you to know that you can. In another situation, like you may be battling with some mental health right now. Like you may be battling thoughts that feel heavy. You may be battling things in your life to where life feels dark. But you have to ask yourself, can you flip a switch and feel better instantly? Can you do that? No, you can't. But one of the things that you can do is you can go for a walk to get fresh air. You can talk to someone, right? You can start feeding your mind better content. Like those are just some of the things and some examples to give you, but you have to look at your situation and you have to understand that you may not be able to control everything, but it is something that you can control because you always have a choice, even if it's small. And number two, I want you to take action. Because once you identify what you can control, just don't sit on it, okay? Do something with it. You see, this is where most people get stuck. They say, well, I can't change the whole situation, so what's the point? And I remember when I was in that same place to where it felt like, man, I didn't want to even try. In different situations that I went through in life, I went through something that was difficult in my life, and I felt like I was not able to control it. When things in my life shifted and financially and in my marriage and things were just all over the place, it was like, man, like I don't even want to try because, man, I'm so far gone. Like things are not where I want it to be. And so in that moment, it was like, because I couldn't change the whole situation, I felt like it was nothing that I could do. Right. And you may be in that same place to where it's like you can't change the whole situation. So you may feel like, what's the point? But I want to let you know that the point is that progress starts small. So let's go back to those finances again because you may not be able to pay everything off today. Like this is an example I want to talk about. You may find yourself being in financial crisis. And yes, you may not be able to make the however much money you need to make in one day, or you may not be able to pay off that debt or go ahead and invest and do different things all at once. But you have to ask yourself, right? If you're dealing with managing debt, can you call a creditor and set up a payment plan? Can you cut off some unnecessary expenses that you have this month and the next month? Can you find new income opportunities? Like if you're dealing with some financial situations, that's a way that you can look at that, right? You have to ask yourself those questions. And don't underestimate small actions because one thing about it is when it comes to taking small steps, you can't underestimate them. You can't, because what those small actions do is when you do those consistently, they lead to big shifts over time. When you do something small over and over and over and have discipline and do taking those small steps and taking those small actions over time, you will see the change over time. You will see like, man, those small steps that I took really made a big difference. And maybe it's your health. Like maybe you've been wanting to get back on track. You have to ask yourself, can you control your body genetics? No, you can't. But can you drink more water? Can you eat one more better meal today? Right? Can you take care of yourself? Can you take care of your sleep? Like, can you get more rest so that your body can recover? Because you don't need to fix your whole life in one day. But what you do need to do is you need to show up for what's in your hands. And number three, I want to talk about letting go of the outcome. Letting go of the outcome. Stop, only focusing on the results. Stop only focusing on the outcome, on the goal. And I know that this is hard, but it's necessary. Like you may be doing everything right and still not seeing the results that you want. You may be putting in the work. You may be showing up, making progress, and it feels like nothing is happening. But hear me. You don't control the outcome. You only control the input. Like you don't get to decide when the breakthrough comes, but you do get to decide if you keep showing up until it does. Like you might be praying and believing for healing in your family. You might be working hard and trying to build your business. You might be showing up every day and not seeing growth, but that's real. But don't quit just because it's not happening on your timeline. Like don't stop just because you're not getting the result that you want when you want it. You have to stay faithful, keep going. And if things still aren't shifting, ask yourself a question. Because one of the things that I know is as we're doing stuff and as we're moving forward and we're making the progress and we're showing up and we're taking action, sometimes we might be taking the wrong action. Like sometimes we might be doing the wrong thing. So that's why we're not seeing the results. So you have to ask yourself, like, is there something that I'm missing? Do I need to pivot? Do I need to learn? Do I need to adjust? And sometimes it's not just about the effort. It's about wisdom, alignment, and consistency over time. So I want you to remember this, okay? Control the controllables. Like that's how you move forward. That's how you grow. That's how you overcome. And I truly hope that this video encouraged you in some way. I hope I said something that inspired you, that motivated you, or gave you the push that you needed to take the next step in your life. And if you have received value from this video, I love if you can just do one thing for me. Go ahead and drop a comment below and let me know what part of this message spoke to you the most. What did you take away from this? And how did it help you? And if this video has helped you, I want you to know like there's a good chance that it can help someone else too. So please do me a favor and share this video with a friend, a family member, or someone that you know who might be going through a hard time. Send it to someone who's in a low place right now. Send this to someone who needs encouragement and let them know that you're thinking about them. Let them know that they are not alone. And if you want more content like this, what I want you to do, if you want to go ahead to be able to receive updates and know when I'm posting videos, like if you're on a journey of healing and growth and overcoming adversity, then I want to personally invite you to be a part of this community. You see, this is Inspo with JT, where I share videos about self-help, personal development, healing, hope, and also about pushing through and overcoming and going from being broken to being an overcomer, even though you are in hard seasons. So if that's what you need in your life right now, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Go ahead and click the notification bell so you don't miss a single video when I post. And if you're following me on different platforms, go ahead and follow me. Go ahead and subscribe so that you will never miss another video. And until next time, what I want to leave you guys with is I want you to know this. I want you to know that even though you're broken, you can still overcome. Until next time, I'll see you later.